Producer Joe here from the Working Fans Podcast. And at the Working Fans Podcast, this is just a podcast that three lifelong fans created to have a place to talk comedy and pro wrestling. Now, our comedy podcast releases every Tuesday, while our wrestling podcast releases every Thursday. We release bonus episodes under the moniker Working Fans Presents every now and then. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, any major podcast provider. The important thing is just please like, rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to us. Now, we have started a new thing. We are now on Amazon and Audible. So those episodes release every Monday. And that's kind of going through the archives and just releasing our old episodes in a new area. So if you want to live through the process with us again, take that journey with us again, you can find us over on Amazon and Audible. Now, if you can't get enough of us in the audio form, check out our YouTube. It's youtube.com/C/Working Fans Wrestling Pod, or just search Working Fans Podcast on YouTube. We have the whole archive is up there. And if you listen to the Working Fans Podcast, you are more than familiar with the 531. That is our signature segment where we take your top 5 list on a particular subject, vote it down to a top 3, and then debate it down to a top 1. Now, guys, if you want to hear 3 guys talk shit about comedy, wrestling, life, anything, you will enjoy the Working Fans Podcast.
All right, everybody, it's the Combatcast with the man called Dave. We got Chevy back. Carny Usada's back from under the ring in New Mexico somewhere. He's back. Man, we were just talking about Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley, and I was telling the guys how I found out the spoiler for this fight. Our friend Cran, who I should probably bring on some point, says to me, hopefully Woodley can redeem himself, and then I wake up to, all right, let's see what you got, Woodley, to he ain't shit, go figure. That's how I found out what happened. And so now, anyway, after reading that, I was like, did he get knocked out? Come to find out, then you read, it was a decision. Now, my first instinct was I was surprised. I didn't think Jake Paul had it in him to go to a decision 8 rounds from somebody who could throw some hands. Now, I know Woodley's smaller, and I know Woodley was predominantly a wrestler, but he had hands, and he was athletic enough where I thought he would get Paul out of there. And then come to find out, he hit Paul at one point and connected pretty good. Now, everybody that I listen to that's worth a damn doesn't seem to think that Woodley was active enough to win this fight. I shouldn't say everybody, because there's a few fighters who think that Woodley did enough, but they're basing on the fact that Paul's shots apparently weren't very effective. But it is what it is. It all depends on how you want to score it. So I have to say, though, and just a little bit I watched of this, I have to give the devil his due to a certain point. Now, I'm not telling you Jake Paul is a boxer. Like, he's not going to be able to fight a top 10 guy. Probably not even a top 15 or top 20 guy, I would imagine. But he's somebody that's clearly putting work into this. And, maybe he's a tough guy at a gym who could maybe beat some people up with, some striking skills. That being said, I mean, it's still, pardon the pun to present guests, it's still carny as fuck. And, I don't think, it's just weird, right? Because, I was listening to Kenny Florian talk about this, and he was saying how like I kind of want to like admire what he's doing, like because he doesn't need the money. He's he's putting the work in, but at the same time, he's not really doing this to like be the best possible boxer he can be to test himself. He's doing this. He's also picking the biggest name fights that he can get that are going to create the most attention, but also fights that he could possibly win too. So it's kind of like this. It's interesting because it's also still kind of a circus. So I don't know. I earned a little bit of respect for Paul, but it's still it's still a circus, and I still want to see somebody end it. Where are you guys landing on this right now? Chevy, we'll start with you.
I don't know if I agree with Florian.
Okay.
I think, especially in boxing, maybe not so much in the UFC, but except for maybe Sean O'Malley, they bring fighters along for the first, 20 fights of their career, where their fights they're definitely going to win, but you learn in the ring what you need to work on and different looks you need to see and stuff. Obviously, Jake has such name value that he's never going to get those 20 fights or whatever, and obviously he's not going to be a world champion or anything. But I think he's progressing properly to make the most money and become as famous as possible, which I'm pretty sure is just his goal. He doesn't want to be the number one fighter of all time or whatever. It's not really the cards. So he's making the best of the situation he's given. So I did watch the fight. I didn't pay for it.
Good.
Somebody helped me out. So
good man.
I did watch the fight, and Jake looked good. I was very impressed. Woodley should have won that fight. He just did what he's done in his last however many fights he's been getting beat. He was too timid. He wasn't aggressive enough. He could have just pressed forward, maybe taken a... Now, obviously, I'm not in there feeling Jake's power or whatever, but Woodley has a chin. He could have stepped through a couple of those shots and finished Jake at any point, it looked like to me. But as far as where he goes from here, I also went back and watched that Fury fight. I think Jake Paul fights Fury and beats him. He looked a lot better than he did. Maybe that's his next fight. I don't know.
How many fights has that Fury had? Do you know?
I think he's 4-0 professional.
Okay.
I heard he was fighting all cans, which makes sense after seeing his.
Sure.
So, but he's a boxer. He's got a 4-0 record as a professional boxer. So, people want to see Jake fight a real boxer. He's an undefeated professional boxer, so I think that's the next logical step. I said before the fight on our last podcast, Jake won this fight. I was on the Jake train,
Okay.
Still don't think he's a great person or anything like that, but I respect what he's doing as far as going after Dana for fighter pay and all that, and he has legitimate boxing skills. He's a fighter as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. So, all right, Carny, go ahead. Get your opinion before I say anything else.
Back when I was a kid, and I used to go to arcades, when the digitized fighting games really started to take off, there's this game called Pit Fighter, and I remember there was this one demo screen where the fighters would just go back and forth like this for 10 seconds, not touching, not throwing any strikes. That's watching a Tyron Woodley fight. Give this dude any money to watch him not throw strikes. I've seen him in the octagon, I don't know how many times, and I can tell you his last several fights have been boring. After he murked Lawler, what has he done that's been fun to watch? So, as for the Paul brothers, I'm not giving them any money. I'm not going to watch any of their fights. I don't glorify ass clowns. They don't deserve
50-0. Sorry.
I don't know why they're popular. I don't follow celebrities. I don't understand social media influencers. I don't get behind this. Even though my government name may actually be Carny, I don't support Carny bullshit. Watch it. I don't care. I just want to see someone knock him out. And even then, I'm not going to pay for it. I'm not going to even watch this illegally because I really don't even care. It's not worth my time. If he thinks that people like myself would invest any time in that, he could go pee in his own butt if he thinks I'm going to support the counter. It's not. I don't care who he's fighting, unless he fights someone like Francis Ngannou. Even then, I'm not going to give him my money because I think he's a piece of shit. They all are. Whatever. I don't care.
Well said. So I have to say,
even if I wanted to watch it, I have such poor internet down here in parts unknown. I don't even know. I don't even know what this room is. This isn't where I live. This is. The only reason why you're able to hear me is because I'm not at home. So
good looking bed though.
Watch us at my place. This is America Online, like old dial-up. Like if someone tried to make a phone call while I'm trying to watch a Jake Paul fight, I'm gonna have to yell at them to hang up the damn phone because I'm trying to go on.
Oh my goodness. All right, just to close up on this deal, I have to say, Chevy, I'm interested. Maybe you put that Paul Fury fight on the undercard of a
real card.
A real card, yeah, like actual Tyson Fury. Maybe his fight with Deontay Wilder coming up, something you could do, or eventually maybe a Joshua fight or something. Yeah, it could be something.
I hope Schiller goes broke. I hope the Paul brothers go broke. I hope they put an end to this tomfoolery.
Well, Jake Paul on Showtime. Showtime ain't going broke anytime soon.
Nah.
Maybe they can go
He's
broke.
a Showtime fighter now.
I heard Showtime did an excellent job in the promotion of this, like a lot of video packages and stuff like that.
They looked a lot better than Triller, who set the bar very low.
Well, yeah, I would imagine. You got Morrow doing commentary and stuff too. So,
Never upset with that. Never.
No. So
I like Morrow. That's the one positive that I'll say about anything involving this is I love Morrow.
Mm-hmm. And Morrow's a showman. He gets the pro wrestling aspect of things and stuff like that. I don't know what he probably thinks behind the scenes. I don't know if you hear Morrow like, this isn't boxing. I can see, But
he can come be a guest on the podcast anytime.
Oh, Morrow. That's dream. We're done after that. I don't even care about die a happy man if I get to interview Morrow. Oh my God, just the puns you would probably have for pop culture. Well, all right, I'll say this. Somebody brought up a great point. We're talking about this more than I thought about. Somebody brought an excellent point. They were talking about how this guy basically, I think it was Weidman's manager there, puts a hole to his fucking chest.
Ray Longo.
Ray Longo, thank you. He was saying how this guy can't fight, anybody that's like a qualified top 20 boxer because he's going to get his ass handed to him. But
he only has 4 fights.
Right, that's what he's saying. Right, he says, but unfortunately, he's developed such a name, he's not going to be able to take the proper fights he needs at this point either. And Ray said he did get a kick out of it. He said from the culture, he said, when Woodley was talking a rematch, they legitimately didn't understand. It was such a foreign concept. What do you mean a rematch? What are you talking about? They looked shocked. And it was kind of funny because he had a good point. They went on the defensive quick because they were thinking, what's this guy talking about? We thought we were done with him. So I don't think Woodley's getting that rematch. I just want to throw that out there. Despite his knockdown. You never know.
Is he going to get the tattoo, though?
I don't think he does that. I didn't think he was going to get it the first fucking time he lost. I never bought into that.
I hope not for his sake.
Yeah.
You can't be in the Hall of Fame in the UFC and have
I love Jake Paul.
anywhere tattooed.
He should have fucking agreed to do it anyway. What the fuck? Anyway.
I'd be as excited for that match as I would have been excited for a Kimbo Slice versus Dada 5000 rematch.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. Loser's got to go.
Having watched both of those fights, this fight was way better than the Kimbo Slice Dada. They didn't get nearly as tired. Nobody died in the ring. So
Much like Triller, they set the bar very low.
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Now,
R.I.P.
big fights this weekend. We talked a little bit last time. Derek Brunson, Darren Till. I'm leaning towards Till in this one. Till is a slight favorite, and I was listening to odds makers, and there was one guy who was saying he was surprised by that he thought smart money might be on. Well, not smart money, but Brunson's a good bet because he keeps derailing gatekeepers lately. He's the gatekeeper, but everybody they send to him, he seems to derail them. Brunson's got good on the ground, despite the fact Jacare was his kryptonite. I think that Brunson has showed that he's got heavy hands at times. It's going to be an interesting test for Till. I think Till gets it done, though. I believe in Till. I want Till to do this. I guess what I'm wondering is, I'll ask you again, Chevy, who do you, and Carny too, since you're here this time, who do you got and what do you see next for the winner and what do you see next for the loser? Go ahead, Chevy.
I want so badly to say that Darren Till's going to win, that, this big Liverpool, they have so many Liverpool fighters. It's going to, it was supposed to be in London, right? The fight was supposed to be in London.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not happening. I would think he would have had a better chance if the fight had taken place in the UK. Like you said, Bronson has recently derailed fighters. Shabazian comes to mind.
Sure.
I think his fighting style, he doesn't care about being exciting. If he wants to just clinch with Till on the cage, that's what he'll do. And I think that's what he's going to do. He's not going to get drawn into a stand-up fight. I think he probably, has a boring 5-round decision where he just holds Till against the cage, unfortunately, for all of us fans.
So you got a bad feeling about this?
I got a bad feeling. And also, Till's record's getting a little bit salty in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like he may need this one.
I think it's crossroads.
Yeah. So hopefully, he sees that and digs down deep and gets this win, or catches him early. I don't know, whatever. But I just want him to win so bad. If Derek wins, he's trying to think of who else is at the top, but he's got to be one away, one and then a title shot maybe.
Yeah, maybe Jared Kenney or something.
Yeah, if Till loses, he gets one more. If he loses that one, he's out the door, I think.
Yeah. We'll see. Carny.
I think Chevy made a lot of great points there. However, I think Smiling Sam Alvey has proven that you could lose like 25 fights in a row and still have a contract.
And Mike Perry, good point.
Yeah, the difference is at least Till is exciting on the mic when Alvey's just, I can't even remember a good promo that he's ever cut.
The smile.
Yeah.
He has a smile shaped in the back of his head. What promo do you need after that?
So one with him having all his teeth knocked out. But the MMA doesn't make sense on this because it's just crazy that Till is such a slight favorite when pardon me. I'm choking much like Tyron Woodley did. So looking at Till's last few fights, I mean, he lost a decision to Whitaker, but I mean, that's Whitaker.
Yeah.
He beat Gastelum, which, I mean, Gastelum has a solid chin, but what else has he done lately? Masvidal knocked him out, and Woodley submitted him. So he's fought like pretty much all killers and Tyron.
True.
And then you look at Brunson. He took out Holland after Holland went on like a 4 or 5 fight tear in that year. Just totally neutralized him by wrestling him. Shabazian, you mentioned, Heinisch, and was it Theodoro? So his competition hasn't been nearly as high as Till's, in my opinion.
Right.
But I always think that Brunson's kind of in the twilight of his career, and then he pulls out several wins in a row. And, I could see Till taking it, and I hope that he does, because I think he's more exciting on the mic. He's more exciting for me to watch. Like, he can build the fight better, but I see both of those dudes getting murdered by the top guys, regardless of who wins this fight. Before this, I actually was talking to your boy Scott, and I was like, hey, just out of curiosity, what are your favorite Brunson fights? And he's like, top 2 favorite Bronson fights are the Jacare fights. But then
I like the Adesanya one myself.
What's that?
That's a good one too.
He got KO'd by Adesanya after talking all that shit.
Yeah, I was there for that one.
Yeah.
So I actually realized at that point that I probably shouldn't take any recommendations from Scott on good fights.
I have to say, I think whoever wins this fight would be a great matchup with Cannonier. Jared Cannonier. Like, that might be the best next fight, because I think Cannonier's going to have another fight anyway. And if he beats the winner of this one, or if the winner of this one beats him, I think that should set up a great matchup for the winner of Whitaker-Adesanya, assuming Adesanya wins. Because if Whitaker wins, I think you're automatically going to get a trilogy out of that.
You should.
I just want to say shout out to whoever on the internet did a meme of Brunson as Crash Bandicoot, because I can't unsee that now because he's shaped like a triangle. So shout out to that guy.
Brunson's a very good sport about the memes that people make of him, and that makes me.
Yeah.
Isn't he got one where he's like the from that Sylvester Stallone movie, Judge Dredd, or something like that, or Wesley Snipes from that film or something? I don't know. I was hoping you would help me with that out, Carny.
I don't know that one.
But yeah, there's definitely a ceiling for both of these guys where, like you mentioned, with Bronson taking out gatekeepers, or someone they're eventually going to transition to that gatekeeper spot unless they really step their game up, because I think that they are very great fighters, but then there's just a elite level at the top of that division or anywhere near that.
I think it's a mentality thing for Till personally, and maybe for Brunson as well.
Yes,
I think they really need just like that click mentally to get to that top tier level, because they have the skills. They have the skills. It's a mentality issue.
There's a certain confidence you need, and it's funny when you talk to her about Paul, like other people. You need to appropriate fights to get built up sometimes. And I think Till, unfortunately, lost a few key matchups early in his career that they were hoping he'd win. They betted on him. Mm-hmm. And, Masvidal was not that guy to put him up with there at that point in his career. But, like, if he had got those cues and those and that's where I feel like, even though Brunson didn't fight the tougher competition, having those 4 wins in a row, right? There's something about momentum. There's something about confidence going in, and he's feeling good. Whereas Till, we had the tougher fights, and he's looked better, but unfortunately, he didn't get the W in a lot of those fights. So the question is, Darren Till does seem mentally tough based on his social media game and his interviews. Let's just hope that's what translates come fight time. Because if he is mentally tough and he keeps improving and he doesn't let these losses get him down, and he's got the right people around him, then he's the guy that could potentially make it to that next level. But if he keeps, losing fights, he loses one like this, he's probably, unfortunately, going to be one of those, could have guys. But I'm rooting for him. See how he does. No disrespect to Brunson, but I think Till's a better prospect of the two, and we'll see how it goes. Now, also speaking of prospects, on this card, Paddy Pimblett, 16-3. He was the Cage Warriors featherweight champion, and got a hell of a submission game. I was talking to Carny before we did this. It's funny, a lot of these fighters, like from the Europe area, right? Like, like Till, striking, that bad. And I think of like Connor, even from Ireland, out of Cage Warriors, had the big striking. But Patty's got excellent submission. Like, I think he's got more submission wins than his TKO. And, he's a character. He reminds me a little bit of like a cross. I think someone said it like Hawani or something. Like, he reminds me of someone between Owen Hart and Kevin Von Erich. But he just has a look. He has the it factor about him. And like Dana was saying too, if this guy doesn't get nervous in the UFC, he's going to be a fun fighter to take overseas in that England market. Now, that being said, the guy he's fighting, Luigi something. I'm not remembering his last name right now, but I remember he had all 9 wins, not by 9, like by finishes. So this guy's a finisher. So it's a great stylistic matchup, it seems like, for him too, right off the gate. I don't know. I hope he does well. I love prospects. I love people that can bring some buzz. This guy's already got some buzz. Chevy, what do you know? What do you think?
Patty the Batty. Definitely exciting. He looks, I think he said this before, he looks like the 5th Beatle with blonde hair.
Yeah.
Billy Preston was the 5th Beatle.
Yeah. He's the 6th Beatle. Yeah.
There you go.
He has that, Liverpool Scouse attitude, the Darren Till-esque confidence, and just fun guy. He just seems like a real fun guy. As far as skills, Cage Warriors is not the UFC.
Right.
I hope that he does well. He's an exciting fighter, especially as far as grappling goes. He throws up a lot of like flying. He has flying arm bars and triangle submissions and all that. His scrambles, he gets into awkward positions. He's like kind of a difficult person to game plan for, it seems like, because he's very awkward, hard to get training partners for. As far as how I think he's going to do in the UFC, they're obviously aren't giving him any easy fights. His first fight is, you said, all finishes.
Yeah.
Contender. So who knows? But as far as him being a jiu-jitsu guy, coming in without having seen any of him fighting any high-level competition, I don't know if he's at the level of a Ortega or a Holloway or a Volkanov or anything like that yet. So I'm excited to see him fight. Hope he wins and he gets on the mic and he'll have a billion new fans after that. So hopefully he can go far. He definitely has a exciting personality.
Right. He's got some buzz. Carny, what do you think about him?
I again agree with a lot of the things that Chevy said. I know that you said that maybe it was Ariel that made that comparison of he looks like a combination of Owen and one of the Von Erichs. I believe someone online put it perfectly when they said he looks like a squire from medieval times. So much like Chevy said, this is an entirely different game going from Cage Warriors to UFC. I'm sure a lot of people came in thinking they were going to be the next cash cow, which this kid thinks he's going to be. Maybe he forgets where he's fighting. But he could very well be a popular figure if this goes well and he continues to have exciting finishes. Because like Chevy mentioned, he's got flying triangles, he's got flying Vs, flying burritos. It's a flying circus. Like, he could be spectacular to watch. Like, he'll backpack people and actually do something with him, like Damian Maya. So, I mean, he talks a good game. He seems very, not only confident, but he seems very collected and calm in the octagon, in the cage. Like, he doesn't look like he panics when he gets caught. He'll just come back and like very quickly put his opponent in positions where he could then finish them. So he's fast. He's got skill. He's definitely someone that I'm hoping does well, just so we can, if he takes out Luigi, maybe his next fight he'll get Luigi's brother Mario. More exciting.
Fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah, I want to fight like Bowser.
Yeah.
Wario. So last bit of news, we just found out UFC 267 is going to be free from ESPN Plus subscribers here in the States.
Shout out Uncle Dana.
Thank you, Dana. And I'm looking at this card, and I thought we'd talk a little about this card because by the time we get to this card, it might be a completely different card anyway. So we'll just preview a couple fights here. Right now, the main event is going to be John Blankowitz versus Glover Teixeira for the light heavyweight title. And Aljamain Sterling versus Peter Yan. I'll start off with Sterling and Yan. Man, Sterling has got he's like this. He's the champ, but he's the underdog here, right? Like based off what we were saying that last fight, like Sterling looked good in the beginning, but he was fading, and Yan was putting it on him. And I think Yan is still. He looks like the top dog right now, still in the bantamweight division. We might have talked about this before, but I still don't think like, I mean, maybe a guy with movement like Dillashaw. I can see you looking Chevy, like maybe there's some guys, but I mean, he's just got great hands. He's got, he can wrestle. I think he's going to be tough. I don't know. I'm picking Yan here though. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Carny.
I'm picking Yan too. Reason being, I love Sterling. I think he's fantastic. He's fun to watch. He's a good promo. He's had a lot of exciting fights. I definitely think that he had really nothing for Yan in that last fight. That was the problem, is that everything he had, Yan had an answer for it, but it didn't work the other way. So unless he really can find out what those holes in his game were and make those improvements with all that time that they've had since that last fight, then I don't see this going any differently.
I agree with you that if he doesn't make any changes, he had nothing for Yan. I think that Ray Longo and Matt Serra are going to look at that tape and know what needs to be done, and I think Aljo's adapted enough to figure it out. And I'm hoping that, he goes, I don't know, kicks his legs or something and ends up on Jan's back. Again, just you mentioned it, who's going to beat Yan. I think there's plenty of people out there that can beat him in the division. TJ, number one, Corey, I think even Dom could beat Peter Yan at this point in his career. So, I mean, he's good, but it's a stacked division. So
it is.
One of the best to watch, and I do hope that Sterling can kick his leg out of his leg.
Yeah.
I do have to say, you brought up an interesting point, though. Like, Sterling is going in this like he probably has to fix what happened last time. So he's not going in there, I don't think, with the winner's mentality. They are probably studying and everything like that, but he has the belt, right? Whereas Yan might be just more confident, and maybe he doesn't change things too much this time. So that's an interesting twist on this, I guess. I'm still going to lean towards Yan, but I wouldn't have a problem with Sterling winning. There's a lot of, like you said, a lot of exciting guys in the division, and I think Sterling has some interesting matchups here too. I like Sterling as champion, honestly. All right, Jan versus Glover. Smart money's on John. But I'm pulling for Glover. That's my boy right there, man. He surprises me every time too. But he's getting older. I guess you got to go with Jan, though, right? I don't know. What do you say?
So speaking of Glover, if I remember correctly, isn't he billed out of or fighting out of where you guys are up in Connecticut, right?
Danbury, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pulling for Glover anyway. He's a guy that I think I've counted out one too many times, and he's proven me wrong. But much like the other Jan, this Jan is, I don't want to say he's unstoppable because obviously anybody can be beaten, but he's been on an absolute tear. And I find a guy with to share his skill set, he could do it, but will he? I doubt it. It could still be a fun fight. Yeah, I want Glover to win that. I just don't see it happening.
I see Glover winning.
No, look at you guys.
Second round knockout.
My
Knocks
God.
out Jan.
I hope you're right.
So I'd be interested to see, I think he's interested in matchup on the ground because I think Glover can hang on him on the ground. And he's got the power, but I'm worried about that Polish power, as he likes to say, is connecting on Glover's chin early there.
I think that Jan's takedown defense is going to be too good for Glover to be able to get it to the ground. If it goes to the ground, Glover has the huge advantage, but I don't think he has the ability to get it to the ground. I think Glover knows this is his last chance for a title shot. So, movie script scenario kind of thing.
Michael Bisping.
Yeah.
It's pop huge if Glover pulls this off.
Oh, yeah. I'll be so hyped.
I was excited for Bisping, but I'll definitely be excited for this dude if he can do this.
Oh, man, big time. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for this episode. We'll be back next week with some more MMA talk, UFC talk. They're still making us wait for UFC 266 here. I got withdrawals. I want a pay-per-view. But plus I want Carney or maybe his buddy to bring over some of those donuts that he has. But I think I'm getting those donuts on another thing we got going on this weekend. But that's down low. Yeah. All right, guys.
But it's got to be there with donuts.
All right, with somebody. All right, guys. That's it for Carny, Chevy. I'm Dave. We're out.